Good evening, everyone. Once again, I welcome you all to our daily conference program. This program is telecasting from the School of Social Sciences, and this program is basically for the students of MLIs, that is Masters in Library and Information Science. And once again, I welcome Mrs. Venu Arora to our daily conference program. As I have mentioned before, she is the head of the division of education and training in this care, and she is also the editor of the Annals of Library and Information Studies. Thank you very much once again for joining us. Well, our next topic is digital libraries, e-products and services. The 21st century came with a digital revolution and economic globalization. We have been moving towards a global knowledge society where information, skills and competence become the driving forces of social and economic development. Furthermore, in the midst of economic information explosion, the most important challenge today is how to find relevant and correct information. Our resource person will be speaking on digital libraries, e-products and services. She will be discussing the following points. Firstly, the characteristics of a modern library system and how libraries have been evolving from traditional to automated, electronic, digital to virtual libraries. And she will also be explaining about digital libraries, advantages of digital library, and why digital library and process of digital libraries and the requirements of software and hardware. And lastly, apart from what we will be we will be also discussing about electronic publication, e-documents, e-blog and copyrights issues. Once again, I welcome you.
Thank you.
And now I give the rest of the time to you.
Thank you. In the previous presentation, I have already discussed the characteristics of a modern library system. As I have already mentioned, for a modern library system, we require high degree of library automation. There has to be more stress on connection building rather on collection building. The staff should be fully able to handle the computerized activities. And basically, we have to give more stress to resource sharing, consortia, and we should be having access to the electronic journals, the databases which are online or which are in-house databases. And besides that, internet has to be exploited as a major resource. Now, before I begin with what digital libraries are all about, let me just talk about how the libraries have evolved over so many centuries, I should say. Because since the time immemorial, we have been having libraries in one way or another. And basically, as we view them today, we refer to them as the traditional libraries. In many places, you can still see some of these traditional libraries. After that came on the scene the automated libraries. In fact, in the subsequent slides, I'll be explaining to you what a traditional library is, what an automated library is, what an electronic library is. Then we'll move on to a digital library, and as you have already been told earlier, the future lies in the virtual libraries. We never know whether it will be a reality or not, but then let's be hopeful. Firstly, the traditional library. In a traditional library, as you are all aware, as you would have seen in many smaller places, all the operations are manual. It's basically everything is in print form, and then we need staff for carrying out each and every activity. and emphasis is very much on collection building. In fact, which one is the best traditional library? The one which has more number of documents, which has a larger collection, that is what is the best traditional library. Secondly, the automated library. Automated library has collection in the print form, but then some or all of the library functions are automated, and then there is a computerized catalog, there may be computerized circulation, there may be some other activities which are computerized, but then still the physical library is very much there. We should remember that. Next we have is the electronic or the digital library. In an electronic or a digital library, the resources are found to be in electronic form. There are optical devices and net means of information, and users still have to visit the library for access to documents. We now take a look at the virtual library. Virtual library is a library without walls, because it's like in the earlier presentation I had talked about the requirements of the modern day professionals and how the virtual libraries are going to going to be available. These are libraries which have no walls. Users can access library at desktops, and basically it is anywhere, anytime access, but it's still a myth. It's not a reality as yet. So let's take a look at where we are now. Are we in the virtual library era? No, not yet, because virtual library is still something has to be developed and used by users, and a lot of expenses are involved in that. Secondly, the digital library. Are all the libraries digital libraries? No, not as yet, because there are a large number of libraries in our country which still need to be digitized, especially in the academic setup. Not so many libraries have been digitized, but of course in the special libraries, etc., documentation centers, they are having the digitized collection. Of course, the automated library is very much there. Most of the libraries we see, especially in the urban areas, these are automated or in the process of being automated. And lastly, the traditional library. Yes, traditional libraries are very much there, but then they are being automated. So then let's take a look at where we are. So as you can see, we are presently a kind of a hybrid library. It's something between an automated library and a digital library. And our focus today is the digital library. So let's take a look at what is a digital library. A digital library is a library in which collections are stored in digital formats as opposed to print, microforms or other media, and accessible by computers. The digital content may be stored locally or accessed remotely via computer networks. Traditional libraries are limited by storage space. Digital libraries have the potential to store much more information simply because digital information requires very little physical space to contain it. As such, the cost of maintaining a digital library is much lower than that of a traditional library. A traditional library must spend large sums of money paying for staff, book maintenance, rent, and additional books which are required all the time. And digital libraries, they don't need all these monies to be spent on all these activities. But of course, initially when a digital library is being set up, then you may have to spend some amounts, but then eventually once the library is operational, then we can do away with all these costs. Then besides this, digital libraries can immediately adopt innovations in technology, providing users with improvements in electronic and audiobook technology, as well as presenting new forms of communication such as wikis and blogs. I will explain towards the end what is a wiki and what is a blog. There are several advantages of digital library over traditional libraries. The main advantage is that there are no physical boundaries here, because we have to go to shelves to pick up collection, the documents, etc. from collection in case of a traditional library, which is not carried out here. Then there is round-the-clock availability. that is anytime, anywhere access. Multiple accesses are possible. That means the users can have access to the, multiple users can have access to the same document. There is a structured approach here. Information retrieval is much easier. Preservation and conservation is also not required, which we need for physical material. Space, we save lot of space here. Networking is possible, and costs, of course, as I said earlier, initially some costs are to be incurred, but eventually the cost will come down. Then a few more aspects concerning digital library, because we have electronic collection or digital or virtual resources here. Then it allows online or offline access to the elements it organizes or houses. It may include multimedia or multilingual data, while accessible online, not identical to a website or a portal. So please remember that one should not compare a digital library to a website that we usually see of an organization. Now, what exactly is digitization? Digitization is the process of representing an object, an image or a signal, usually an analog signal, by a discrete set of its points or samples. The result is called digital representation, or more specifically a digital image for the object and digital form for the signal. Why do we carry out digitization? There is a well-known phrase, the future is online, not just for books information sales, but delivery as well. So it refers to the very fact that whenever we want information, the information should be immediately delivered to us, and it's only possible with the help of digitization of document. So the digitization of reading material brings many advantages, because it reduces the cost of distributing published material, because published material distribution involves huge amount of expenses, efforts, and time as well. Many times when we get a published journal, it may be a time lag of 1 month or 2 months. For example, a September issue may be received in December. So then, if it is a digitized publication, then the moment it is produced, it can be passed on to the users. So no time is wasted in this regard. Besides that, the material in a wide range of formats can be presented, enabling readers to use it more effectively with faster access. Then it provides new ways of accessing historical data. Archives can be found at the click of a mouse. Besides this, it enables publishers to compile more accurate statistics on usage patterns and user bases, helping them to tailor their products to the market. Also enables effective searching of information, and lastly increases access for users in the developing world by making recent information available online. Now let's move on to the digitization process. Digitization is the process by which data, it's basically the analog content, is converted into a sequence of ones and zeros. That is, in your computer paper, you must have studied about how data is handled by computer. It's by means of the binary digit, that is, the computer understands the language of zeros and ones. So this is what has been mentioned here, and put into binary code to be read by a computer. Digital information also has common characteristics and qualities regardless of whether the content is stored on DVD, CD-ROM or other digital storage media. It can be linked to other materials to create multimedia, stored and delivered in a variety of ways, and can be copied as many times as required. And lastly, digital contents can be browsed easily and can be searched, indexed or collated instantly. These can also be linked to a whole web of other contents, either locally or globally via the internet. The process of digitization thus involves two sets of activities. Firstly, the process of digital conversion, whereby the source materials are converted into digital form, and secondly, the process of digitized information, which involves several activities related to the storage, organization, processing and retrieval of digitized information. Let's take a look at the hardware and software requirements when the digitization process is on. We require computer systems, scanners, a digital camera, image processing and editing facilities, file compression software, and OCR software. Let's take a look at some of the storage media in digital libraries. The storage media in digital libraries is usually of three categories, which are hyperbooks. These are electronic books that contain text and graphic images. There are the CD-ROMs, which is an optical storage media, and the multimedia. This technology integrates text, images, graphics, video, animation, sound, or music. Now let's take a look at components of digital libraries. There are library systems having plenty of PCs with LAN facility, local databases in machine-readable form, CD-ROMs, etc. Then there should be provision to provide email service, access to servers, and to remote databases. Thirdly, networks to support communication, enable transfer of data within and outside the country. Fourthly, system functions to coordinate, manage data entry, manipulation of data, and retrieval of data. And lastly, trained manpower is required to handle various activities. Let's take a look at some of the advantages of digital library. Firstly, there are no physical boundaries. Secondly, round-the-clock availability. Thirdly, multiple accesses are possible, which means that large number of users can access the same material at the same time. The whole thing is a structured approach. That's another advantage. Information retrieval is much faster, because when we are locating documents physically, then we have to look at each and every item and find the desired information. But in this particular case, information can be easily retrieved. Then the preservation and conservation effort is not required here. A lot of space saving. Networking is possible. And lastly, the costs. Let's take a look at some examples of digital libraries. As you can see here, the first one, that is it's a worddigitalibrary.org. Then there is the IPL.org, netlibrary.com. The classicnovels.com is rather interesting, which leads you to having access to the classics of old times. Let's take a look at some examples of digital libraries in India. You can find some familiar organizations' names. For example, Indira Gandhi National Center for Arts, that has a digital library. TFIRRES.in is there. NCSI, that is of IISC, is there. Then newdli.earnet.in, again that's another example. Let's now move on to the next aspect of the theme of the topic, electronic publishing or e-publishing. Now this refers to the production of any information that is published in digitized form. It makes use of modern technologies, allowing publishers to deliver documents and other contents quickly and efficiently. E-publishing is helpful in producing documents containing text, graphics, stills or motion pictures, audio, video, tables, numeric equations, or a combination of any or all of these with the assistance of a data processing system. Electronic publishing has several categories. Firstly, there is the commercial e-publishing. Secondly, subsidy e-publishing. Thirdly, no-fee distributors. And lastly, self-publishing. E-documents. that is the electronic documents. Electronic information is stored in e-documents or media. As in the case of print media being meant for hard copies of traditional books, journals, etc., the electronic media are used in e-publishing. Usually, the computer storage media are used for the purpose. The most popularly used physical storage devices are the optical discs here. Let's take a look at the different kinds of e-documents. We have nowadays available, you can check these on the internet also. There are e-books available, there are e-journals, then there is the e-zine, which is nothing but the email magazine. There are e-reference sources, and besides that there are also electronic dissertations and theses which are available online. Let's take a look at some of the e-books. An e-book is the digital media equivalent of a conventional printed books. These are usually read on personal computers or on dedicated hardware devices known as e-book readers or e-book devices. E-books are electronic version of books made available to users in digital format. These can be read on all types of computers and have electronic text, and the text is represented to the user or reader visually. The electronic text can be saved on a CD and may have audio, video or hyperlinks. There's one big disadvantage that for reading an e-book you always require the gadgets. Now I would like to mention here the very fact that it's very interesting. There are a lot of e-books available online through the internet. Just through the Google search you can go to some of the e-books. In fact, some of the classics, for example Charles Dickens novels or Jane Austen's novels, these are available as e-books and one can easily read. Some of the textbooks in library information science are also available online, and I mean, even if you feel that reading them on the computer screen is a strain, you can switch on the audio. You can listen to the record. That's very interesting, and in fact I feel that all the students should try at least this if they have the internet access facility to them. They should give it a try. Some typical examples are given here, like the example that I gave just now, classicbooksbookshelf.com. Here you can take a look at all the classics in English literature. Then Gutenberg.org is another example. Amazon.com can give you access to a large number of e-books. Literature.org is another example, and freeebooks.net is another example. Let's now move on to the next category, that is the e-journals or the electronic journals. Now just like the serial publications, the journals, we also have the electronic journals. These are nothing but journals or serials that are produced, published and distributed in electronic media. E-journal is available in electronic form and can be accessed using computer and communication technologies. Here all the activities related to publishing, that is from starting stage of paper submission to editing to proofreading to final copy to distribution, including accessing by user, are carried out in the electronic form, are carried out on computers. And in case of electronic journal, we can see that a lot of organizations are shifting from print to e-journal subscription. The reason, speed of publication and delivery is very fast. It saves a lot of administrative activities, space, shelving, missing issue problems, because if the issues are printed and posted, a lot of them are lost in transit. Then also inclusion of audio and video based text is possible. Searchable back issues are available. Cost of publication and distribution is much lower here, and of course there is the anytime anywhere access. There are three types of e-journals. We have the online journals. These are online version of the print journals. Then there are CD-ROM journals. These are full text journals published and distributed on CD-ROM media. There are the networked electronic journals which are published and distributed via the internet. Some examples of e-journals and newsletters are given here. Some top publishers like Elsevier, then Springer Science Online, Blackwell Scientific Journals, Humanities Index abstracts with full-text journals, World Wide Web Virtual Library that is in social sciences. So these are some of the examples of e-journals. Let's now move on to the next category of electronic media, that is e-zine, which is actually the email magazine. This online publication or electronic newsletter or magazine is simply a newsletter stored on a file server, distributed or accessed via email and or online. There are plenty of e-zines on various subjects available on the internet, and these are usually free of charge. A couple of examples of e-zines are, one is www.dlib.org. There is another one, www.ezine-list.com. Then of late, every information professional is finding e-reference sources to be of much use, especially the encyclopedias and the dictionaries which are available online. So plenty of websites are dealing with reference sources. The vendors and publishers too are providing users with various reference sources through their databases and websites. Reference sources like dictionaries, encyclopedias, directories, yearbooks, handbooks, thesauri, etc. are available online. One of the very famous reference sources, that is the Encyclopedia Britannica, which every library science student studies in their B.Lib course, they have stopped bringing out the printed version now. It's now available as an e-reference source. Then let's take a look at some of the examples. There is the Webster's Online Dictionary. It's with multilingual thesaurus translation. This is a e-reference source. Then Encyclopedia Britannica, like I just now said, is available online. Rogit Thesaurus of the English language is also available online. Then Word Book Online is another example. Then the last category of electronic publications is the electronic thesis and dissertation. Electronic thesis and dissertation is a document that is prepared as a result of research carried out by a student as part of pre- or post-doctoral work. Besides submitting the printed thesis, an electronic version is also submitted simultaneously, which is available worldwide for retrieval. The electronic thesis and dissertations are usually prepared using a word processing package and may incorporate multimedia applications. Some examples are given here. ndltd.org is an example, portal.unesco.org, oclc.org is another example. Now let's take a look at what is an electronic link. This electronic document is highly used by the media and publishing industries. The electronic link can be used to create a newspaper or book that updates itself. For example, this technology is also used on billboards that rotate different ads. Besides that, we see that electronic newspapers are simply updated after some time. Now that we are talking about electronic publications, it's proper to mention here about the digital preservation. Digital preservation refers to the management of digital information over time. Preservation of digital information is widely considered to require more constant and ongoing attention than preservation of other media. This constant output of effort, time and money to handle rapid technological and organizational advancement is considered the main stumbling block for preserving digital information. Digital preservation is therefore a set of processes and activities that ensure continued access to information and all kinds of records of scientific and cultural heritage existing in digital formats. This includes the preservation of materials resulting from digital reformatting. Digital preservation is thus defined as long-term error-free storage of digital information, which means for retrieval and interpretation for the entire time span the information is required for. Besides the digital libraries, another form in which the information is available nowadays to users is through the open access, because a lot of users, lot of producers of information, lot of organizations, they are just like that, making available information free of cost to the huge user community on the web. So that is referred to as open access. So what exactly is open access? It's free, immediate, permanent, full text online access for any user web-wide to digital, scientific and scholarly material, primarily research articles published in peer-reviewed journals. An open access article has limited copyright and licensing restrictions, which means anyone, anywhere with access to the internet may read, download, copy and distribute that article. Two methods of delivering open access to research literature are open access journals and open access archives. In fact, a large number of journals are available open access also. Then another aspect that I would like to mention here is the wiki. What exactly is a wiki? A wiki is software that allows users to create, edit and link web pages easily. Wikis are often used to create collaborative websites and to power community websites. These wiki websites are often also referred to as wikis. For example, Wikipedia is often considered one of the best known wikis. In fact, Wikipedia is one such source where it's basically a kind of an encyclopedia. You can have access to any information on any given topic from Wikipedia. You'll find a brief explanation. In fact, it's basically a layman's guide to the word of knowledge. Then another aspect that I would like to introduce here is a blog. A blog is a website where entries are commonly displayed in reverse chronological order. Many blogs provide commentary or news on a particular subject. Others function as more personal online diaries. A typical blog combines text, images and links to other blogs, web pages and other media related to its topic. The ability for readers to leave comments in an interactive format is an important part of many blogs. Most blogs are primarily textual, although some focusing on art, photographs, videos, audios and music are part of a wider network of social media. In fact, I would like to mention here that very famous, very popular blog these days is Amitabh Bachchan's blog. Every youngster and every older person also wants to read the comments given by Mr. Amitabh Bachchan every day. So like one can leave comments also in his blog. The next aspect is the copyright issues. Copyright is a legal concept which is enacted by most national governments that give the creator of an original work exclusive rights to it, usually for a limited period of time. So I find it's pertinent to mention here the copyright issues also, because when we talk about digital libraries, digitization of information, we are governed by the copyright restrictions, because without the permission of the publishers, a document cannot be digitized. And of course, any new documents which are being created, these could be digitized. And lastly, as in the earlier presentation also I have mentioned, the digital rights management. It's nothing but an umbrella term that refers to access control technologies used by publishers and copyright holders to limit usage of digital media or devices. It may also refer to restrictions associated with specific instances of digital works or devices. For digital protection of software and hardware devices not specifically related to protection of digital media. So DRM technologies, as it is popularly referred to, attempt to control use of digital media by preventing access, copying or conversion by end users to other formats. So I think I have sufficiently given a complete coverage of the concept of digital libraries and e-products.
Okay. Yeah, I have some questions
Yeah.
for you. Would you please mention some of the e-documents?
Okay.
Yeah, before we go to the clarify
Okay.
some of the
Okay,
some
like
more questions, I mean.
I have said earlier, we have the e-books. I had given some examples
That's
also.
right.
There are e-journals. We have the e-journal consortia. That's a term which is very popular nowadays within the academic community as well as in scientific area. Then there is e-zine, that is the email magazine. There are e-reference sources. One of the very popular e-reference sources which I myself usually use is the dictionary online.
Okay, yes, yes.
Dictionary.com.
That's right.
Online dictionary. Then there are electronic dissertations and thesis.
Okay. Yeah, next question is what are some of the advantages of digital libraries over traditional library?
Okay. The main advantage, of course, remains the round-the-clock availability.
Yes.
Besides that, there is no physical boundary when we are using a digital library. Then another major advantage is the multiple access. That is, the large number of users can access the same document at the same time, which in a physical collection is not possible unless you have multiple copies of the particular book. Of course, networking is possible. We save on space. Information retrieval is much easier.
Exactly. Yeah. And you have mentioned about e-journals and e-journals and e-books.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us some of the advantages as well of e-books and e-journals.
Okay, actually, some of the advantages are the same actually. Multiple user access is the main advantage, and suppose it is some open source material, you don't have to pay anything. Yeah, and then of course, if you are an authorized borrower, although you are paying for it, but then you have faster access to it. The moment a document is produced, you have access to it.
Okay.
So especially researchers find this very useful.
Okay. Yeah. My next question is, what are the storage media in digital libraries?
Okay.
The storage,
we have the hyperbooks, CD-ROMs, we have multimedia.
All right.
The three of them actually, storage media.
Okay. And how blog is different from, like a wiki?
Okay. Okay, let me try to explain. A blog actually is basically a contraction of the term web blog. Web log.
Yeah. That's right.
It's basically a website usually maintained by an individual with regular entries. I mean, I think you also would have created your students are doing that. Yeah. So with there you can leave some commentary or your views, some description of events, other material, audio, visual, graphics, etc. So entries are usually displayed in reverse chronological order. On the other hand, a wiki, it's a software that allows users to create, edit and link web pages easily. Wikis are often used to create collective websites and to power community websites. So that's the major difference.
Okay. And is e-journal in a consortia beneficial for both users and organizations?
Yes, these actually, firstly I will say about an organization. Normally, when an organization is subscribing to journals, so when you are part of a consortia, you have, just by paying a little more, you have access to many more journals.
That's right.
That's one advantage. Secondly, along with the e-journals, you also get the printed journals also many times. And moreover, of course, the access is much faster. It's from
Yes,
users'
of course.
point of view. So both the users as well as the
Organization.
organizations are benefited. And moreover, it's a resource sharing venture.
Yes.
So suppose one individual organization is subscribing to, let's say, 100 or 200 journals. But
Okay.
when you're part of a consortia, you may have access to something like 4,000 journals
Okay,
or
yes.
5,000. So that means the access is much wider.
Okay, and it is for, I mean,
Yeah,
beneficial
by
not only
just,
for the
yes,
individual,
yes.
but also for
Yes,
any
and the
organization.
membership which you pay is a little more if you pay, just by paying extra if you get so much. That's
Exactly.
the main benefit, both for both user and the
That's
organizations.
right, that's right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs. Renu Arora, for your comprehensive explanation on digital libraries. And thank you also once again
Thank you
for
very much
joining us
for
on this
inviting.
teleconference program.
Thank you.
Well, with this, we come to the end of our teleconference program. And it's a pleasure being here, and I hope you have enjoyed our program. Thank you once again.